So yeah, the post-election world has been very, very interesting. You heard about the Million Maga March?
I didn't know about that until you mentioned it earlier.
So the Million Maga March, we're recording this on Saturday. I think it happened today. So
Is that an appropriation?
the Million Maga March. Yes,
Yeah.
it is appropriation.
Okay, I thought so. Cause I feel like marching in the millions wasn't a thing to.
Marching in the million.
Like you never heard that before the Million Man March.
Yeah, no, you definitely didn't.
Like that wasn't a goal for niggas or
Have a million people,
white people
or
or
people.
Yeah, they would
Really
just get
marching.
together, then try to estimate the numbers.
Honestly,
That was a
marching
goal.
in general.
Gandhi had people marching for real. They were marching like crazy long distances. That's where MLK got
MLK.
MLK.
That's where he got it from.
That sound like a rapper. MLK.
MLK. I bet you it is
Woo,
somebody.
if I ever start doing cocaine rap,
MLK. MLK. Mississippi, Louisiana. That's where they from. That's where they traffic. That was the
I-95.
right. So yeah, this Million Maga March I think is very very interesting because for a few reasons. Number one, this is I don't know how it was marketed, but it's basically a farewell celebration, right? Right? Like I don't know if they marketed it as we ain't going nowhere type shit, right? Like, finish the count. We still got these lawsuits and we're celebrating and showing our power that like MAGA Man is still supported. I don't know if that was the goal and the purpose behind it, but really to me, what it looks like, the optics are a farewell celebration. It's like we're gonna miss you type thing. I don't know if you saw this too, but like Trump drove through it.
Have they ever done that for a president?
A farewell,
Yeah, I don't recall.
not to this type of scale, or like not in this way for sure. The other funny part about it is Trump, his motorcade actually drove through it on his way to go play some golf.
Of course, he had to like catch the
Show
vibe.
up, yeah,
and, you know what I'm saying?
had to go say
His
hi to
ego
his people.
stroke.
But I think that this is interesting because I think it speaks to something that's happening in this country, and I think that is very, very interesting dynamic that's happening. I believe
Okay.
that the definitions of Democrats and Republicans are about to shift again. They're about to reverse back.
Back to before Emancipation Proclamation.
Exactly. I think what's happening here is a transition of identities in America. And I think that what's really happening is it's just getting updated. Our values as a country and as a society are getting updated. I think that for the most part, what people have traditionally been divided along political lines, they're not divided along anymore, right? Like they're not those traditional political things that are dividing people. I think what has started to divide people a little bit more, and representatives in terms of candidates and people running for office are starting to lean into a little bit more, is it's not so much about the identities of people, but the experiences of people, which talks a lot more about class and the way that people are experiencing America. And what's happening is the people are bucking against our representative system right now because we're feeling like nobody is truly accurately representing us. And I believe what happens is... Go ahead.
I feel like that is true for the Democrats, but I don't know if the Republicans feel the same way.
So what I think is happening on the Republican side is I think that they are a lot more open. I think that the traditional Republican values aren't different, but I also think that they're a lot more willing to listen to people that challenges or updates what those values or how those values look today.
Because it's probably more middle-leaning Republicans than are extremists, I'm assuming.
Not only that, but I think that when you have the Republican Party can't lean on voter turnout to accurately describe or track the popularity of their party, right?
Okay.
They kind of have to track the think about the alternative name for Republicans is conservatives. These people are not talking about their action, like their political actions, right? So like, it's very hard to track who your base is and how it's growing if people aren't talking about their behavior or their actions, and you can't track it. So I think that the Republicans are forced to be a little bit more creative in designing talking points and listening to people and putting certain people on camera with their talking points to attract certain people, because they have to speak to people a little bit more. Democrats can lean on just their values and what they think is right or wrong. They don't have to lean so much into who the people actually are, if that makes sense, that are representing them.
Okay.
And I feel like when that happens, this is why you get things like every demographic increasing their Republican voting, every of color demographic increased their voting. The only demographic that voted less for Trump than last time is white people, white men.
Yeah.
So and then shortly after that, I also saw some statistics about what like Fox News viewers value. They're like, well, really, we ain't tripping about abortion like that, but these medical bills though. Right? Like these student loans though. So like these values are starting to become
more socialist.
Exactly. The lines are becoming muddied, and what I think is going to happen is going to be a reverse, because look at what's happening on the Democratic Party, the left. You can't say everything. You can't say what you want if you're going to offend people.
True.
It's going to be certain people that are going to be protected, uplifted, and also certain people that are not. We talked about identity politics on OTC, but respectability politics is another concept that I think is actually relevant for this transition that I'm talking about.
You want to give us a definition of respectability?
Respectability politics is the definition that I gave of identity politics last week. So respectability politics basically is choosing people as representatives or just the system of politics based on individual respectable identities. So like making sure that folks don't have criminal histories or aren't into any weird sex shit or anything like that.
Which never really seems to work out, because that always comes to the light for some reason.
And it usually backfires most on people who are what? Conservative, because they try to act like that shit ain't a thing.
That's true.
And so that's what I think is weird about the Democratic Party. And what's happening with them right now is I think that this shit is about to start flipping on them. All of this shit that they say you can't do, can't say, right? That's offensive and all of this. These are the same people doing that shit behind closed doors. And so when the tides turn and the cameras get in their face for their transgressions, then it's going to become, they're going to be viewed as the conservative, right? Like having the conservative opinion. So I'm just saying, I can see this, what I see right now is kind of the beginning of the transition of these political parties switching. Now, what's important about this is there's two ways that this can go. It can go just like how it went in Lincoln's time, where the parties just switch, or it's an opportunity for us to get rid of just having two parties. Maybe we can expand and have more parties. Maybe we can have better representation. Maybe there's a redesign of our political structure that can potentially happen over the next few years. I'm talking about, right? Like the next 5 to 10 years is what I'm talking about. But this I see as a moment that begins that transition.